My brother grabbed my arm before I even reached the ballroom. Not hard. Just enough to stop me. Hey, he said quietly. Can you stand near the wall during photos? I stared at him. He smiled like he was asking for a tiny favor. Emily's family is really particular about appearances. Appearances. I actually laughed once because I thought he was joking. He wasn't. The wedding coordinator was already waving expensive-looking people toward the center staircase while I stood there holding the gift envelope I'd spent 3 months saving for. My own brother wouldn't look directly at me. Just for the family shots, he added. You understand, right? No. I didn't. But I nodded anyway because people were watching. The ballroom smelled like roses and champagne. Everything looked soft and gold and perfect. Except me. That's what they meant. I felt it in every glance Emily's mother threw at my thrift store dress. I felt it when the bridesmaids stopped talking as I walked by. And I really felt it when I found my seat. Table 17. Back corner. My name card was gone. A man I'd never seen before was sitting there eating shrimp. Oh, he said casually. They told me this seat opened up. Opened up. Like I had died before dinner started. Then I looked toward the head table. And realized my brother had already seen it happen. He just didn't stop it. I stood there holding my purse so tightly my fingers hurt. My brother looked away the second our eyes met. That part stayed with me. Not the missing seat. Not the stranger eating my dinner. The fact that Daniel looked guilty before I even spoke. Emily appeared beside him with a glass of champagne in her hand. Perfect makeup. Perfect smile. Oh good, she said. You found somewhere to stand. Stand. Not sit. I felt heat crawl up my neck. There was a mistake with seating, I said carefully. Emily gave a tiny shrug. We had last-minute guests. Last-minute guests apparently mattered more than the groom's sister. Daniel finally stepped closer. Claire, just get another chair for now, okay? Don't make this into something tonight. Don't make this into something. Like I was the problem. A waiter passed carrying plates of filet mignon. My stomach twisted. I hadn't eaten all day because Daniel promised we'd have dinner together before the ceremony. He never showed. Then Emily's mother walked over. I'd met her twice before. She looked me up and down slowly. You're Daniel's sister? She asked. I nodded. Her smile tightened. Oh. I thought you were staff. Silence. Real silence. Even the people nearby stopped talking for a second. And then Daniel did something worse than defending me. He laughed nervously. Like he didn't want to upset her. That was the exact moment something inside me changed. I walked out before dinner started. Nobody followed me at first. Not Daniel. Not my parents. Nobody. The hotel hallway felt cold after the ballroom lights. I could still hear music behind the doors. Laughter. Glasses clinking. Like nothing had happened. I leaned against the wall and tried to breathe. That's when my phone buzzed. Don't embarrass your brother tonight. I stared at the message so long the screen dimmed. Not, are you okay? Not, that was cruel. Just don't embarrass him. I typed 3 different replies. Deleted all of them. Then the ballroom doors opened behind me. Emily's cousin stepped out laughing with another bridesmaid. They stopped when they saw me. I wasn't supposed to hear them. That's the sister? Yeah. She looks different than the rest of them. Pause. Then quieter. No wonder they hit her in the back. The doors closed again. I felt completely numb after that. Not angry. Not even sad. Just finished. I walked back inside calmly. Nobody noticed me at first because speeches had started. Daniel stood near the microphone smiling for photos while Emily held his hand like they were royalty. I looked at the gift table. Rows of wrapped boxes. Cards. Cash envelopes. Mine sat near the center. I walked straight toward it. And that's when Daniel finally noticed me moving through the crowd. His smile disappeared instantly. Because he knew exactly what I was about to do. The room stayed loud for another few seconds. Forks scraping plates. People laughing. A photographer shouting directions. Then I picked up my envelope. And everything around me started slowing down. Daniel stepped away from the head table immediately. Claire, he called. Too late. I turned the envelope over in my hands. Thick cream paper. His name written in my neat handwriting. Inside was $8,000. Almost every extra shift from the last year. Daniel wanted a down payment for a house. I wanted my brother to have a better life than we grew up with. Funny. I slid the envelope into my purse. Emily noticed next. Her smile vanished so fast it almost scared me. She whispered something to Daniel. Both of them started toward me. People nearby finally realized something was wrong. My father stood halfway out of his chair. Claire, he warned quietly. That tone. The same tone parents use right before blaming one child for ruining Christmas. I looked directly at Daniel. Don't worry, I said calmly. I'll stay out of the frame forever. The photographer lowered his camera. Nobody moved. Daniel reached me breathing hard. Can we not do this here? Here. Like there was ever going to be a better place. You already did it here, I told him. Emily crossed her arms. This is unbelievably dramatic. I almost answered her. Then I noticed something strange. The wedding coordinator near the entrance was staring directly at me. Not at the argument. At me. And she looked terrified. At first I thought the coordinator was worried about a scene. Then she mouthed something. Don't. I frowned at her. She looked over her shoulder quickly like she was checking if someone was watching. My stomach tightened. Daniel kept talking but I barely heard him anymore. You're overreacting, he said softly. Just give me the envelope back and we'll fix this later. Later. Always later. The coordinator suddenly hurried toward us carrying a tray she clearly didn't need. When she passed beside me she whispered so quietly I almost missed it. Don't leave alone. He kept walking. I froze. What? I called after her. But she was already moving toward the kitchen doors. Daniel touched my elbow again. Claire, seriously. I stepped away from him immediately. Something felt wrong. Not emotionally wrong. Physically wrong. Like the air inside the ballroom had changed. I looked around carefully for the first time that night. That's when I noticed the man near the bar. Gray suit. No wedding drink. No smile. Just watching me. The second our eyes met he looked down. My chest tightened hard. Who's that? I asked Daniel. He glanced toward the bar too quickly. Too casually. I don't know. Why? I knew my brother's lying face better than anyone alive. The man in gray started walking slowly toward the hallway. Then he stopped. And without looking at me he tapped 2 fingers against his wrist. Like he was reminding someone about time. I backed away from Daniel instinctively. What is going on? I asked. He looked exhausted suddenly. Not angry. Claire, he said quietly, please just go to your hotel room. Every nerve in my body lit up. Why? Emily appeared beside him again but her face looked pale now. Not annoyed. Nervous. The man in the gray suit was gone. I scanned the ballroom quickly. Gone. That made it worse. Daniel lowered his voice. I'm serious. Take the side elevator. Don't use the parking garage. Cold spread through my stomach. What did you do? He rubbed both hands over his face like he was breaking apart. I didn't know they'd come here. My mouth went dry. Then the wedding coordinator rushed back toward us holding her phone tightly. Daniel, she whispered sharply. There's another one downstairs. Another one. I stepped back again. What the hell is happening? Nobody answered me. That was my answer. My father suddenly stood from his table and started walking toward us fast. Not concerned. Panicked. He grabbed my arm hard enough to hurt. You need to leave now. Dad. Yow. People had started staring openly. The music still played. Which somehow made everything feel more wrong. Then my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. One text. We know who took the money. I stopped breathing for a second. Because I hadn't told anyone what was inside the envelope. I showed Daniel the text. The color drained from his face instantly. Not confusion. Recognition. My father saw it too and muttered, "Oh God." That scared me more than the message. What money? I whispered. Nobody answered. Emily finally snapped first. Tell her. She's already involved now. Daniel grabbed the back of a chair like he needed help standing. 3 months earlier he'd borrowed money from dangerous people. Not a bank. Not friends. Men who loan cash quietly and collect loudly. He told them he could repay everything after the wedding because Emily's family was rich. Except they weren't giving him money. The wedding itself was mostly fake luxury. Loans. Credit cards. Deposits they couldn't cover. And my envelope. The $8,000 was supposed to keep those men calm long enough for Daniel to disappear into Emily's uncle's company overseas. I felt sick. You were planning to hand them my money? I was going to pay you back. His voice cracked. That almost made it worse. The ballroom doors opened behind us. The man in the gray suit walked back in. This time he wasn't alone. Another man stood beside him wearing black gloves despite the warm room. Nobody else at the wedding seemed to notice them. But Daniel did. And judging by the terror on his face, the amount he owed was much bigger than he'd admitted. Then the man in gray looked directly at me. And smiled. The man in gray walked toward me slowly. Calm. Certain. Like he already knew how this night ended. Daniel stepped in front of me immediately. She has nothing to do with this. Gray suit smiled wider. She took the envelope. His voice was soft. Almost polite. I realized then why the wedding coordinator looked terrified. She knew who they were. Maybe everyone working the hotel did. The second man locked the ballroom doors behind him. Quiet click. Nobody noticed over the music. I looked at Daniel. Really looked at him. Sweating. Shaking. Broken. My brother hadn't humiliated me because he was cruel. He humiliated me because desperate people start sacrificing whoever feels easiest to lose. And tonight that person was me. Gray suit held out his hand. The envelope. I reached into my purse slowly. Daniel whispered, "Claire, please." But I wasn't grabbing the money. I pulled out my phone. And pressed play. Gray suit's smile disappeared instantly when his own voice filled the ballroom speakers through the hotel Bluetooth system. 3 days earlier, Daniel had panic called me drunk. I recorded everything. Names. Threats. Loan details. Violence. Enough for prison. Guests slowly turned toward us as the recording echoed across the room. Then came the best part. Sirens outside. The wedding coordinator had called the police the moment she recognized them. Gray suit stared at me differently after that. Not like prey. Like a mistake. And for the first time that night, I stopped standing near the wall.